you should have heard those knocked out jailbirds sing. Come on, that is completely irresistible.
Welcome to another episode of the Filmosophers Movie Talk Show. I'm Chris Bush.
And I'm Dean Sluyter.
On the Filmosophers, we talk about film and filmosophy with the people who love and make the movies. And on today's episode, we have another special edition, Cinema Nirvana, Enlightenment Lessons from the Movies. And our Dharma guide for this episode will be the esteemed Dean Sluyter, who will take us on an enlightenment tour of Elvis Presley's 1957 film, Jailhouse Rock. Dean, for the uninitiated, just remind us again, what is the kind of the context and concept of the Cinema Nirvana approach to film?
Well, what I do, and I have got a book about this called, weirdly enough, Cinema Nirvana, Enlightenment Lessons from the Movies. And I look at movies in iconographically, in the same way that when a Buddhist teacher of mine dragged me through a couple of dozen temples in Tibet and showed me how every little detail on this statue and this tanka is indicative of some aspect of the unfolding of awareness into enlightenment. And I thought, what if I look at good old American genre movies like that? Jaws, Citizen Kane, so forth, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And it turns out, hey, it's everywhere. So I love movies. And so this is where I like to find the Dharma treasures.
You are a filmosopher's dream.
A filmosopher's dream. Oh, I'm dreaming. So let me say, Elvis's movies in general, most of them I can't watch them. They make me very sad. And I know some people love the post-army Technicolor Elvis films where he's, mincing around with Anne Margaret and pretending to be a circus barker or a race car driver or something. And, if you're in a certain camp frame of mind, sure, I get it. But I mean, Elvis was such a beautiful, real, authentic singer and soul. And when I see those post-army Technicolor Elvis films, it to me, it's just like, oh, he's a god in chains, and it just looks to me like he's hating what he's doing more and more. He's just buried under all that pancake makeup and doing all this silly choreography and singing bad songs. And so, having said that, Jailhouse Rock is different. Jailhouse Rock was made before he went into the Army, 1957, right as just very close to his first just splashing onto the scene. And it's a very charming little film for the most part. It closely parallels his actual career, where he goes from just, being a singing truck driver to being, discovered and cutting records and being on the local radio stations and then getting discovered and having big success in Hollywood and so forth, and becoming a jerk along the way. Okay. The difference is that this being a movie, it has a movie ending where he recovers from his jerkitude toward the end. His jerkitude, is that the right word, Chris?
That's a word.
I think it's perhaps jerkosity, is portrayed mainly in terms of the two supporting characters, the ingenue, the lovely, sweet record promoter played by Judy Tyler, and the old country singer played by Mickey Shaughnessy, who he meets in jail. Something happens, he winds up in jail for a stint, and that's where he starts singing in the film. So she's the sweet, sincere love interest. The Mickey Shaughnessy is he's like the musical roots. And the Elvis's character, who's called Vince Everett, which is an interesting choice of name. It's like he's scaling the Mount Everest of showbiz success. And he turns his back on both of them. Weirdly enough, who he doesn't turn his back on is the band. Elvis's original band, led by Scotty Moore, the brilliant guitarist, who in the real life Elvis did eventually ditch them. In the film, they keep showing up. He goes to jail and they do some impromptu performance in the jail, and Scotty and the boys are there. And then he's in Hollywood and he's doing this poolside thing. Somehow magically Scotty and the boys are there. Fine. So in the film, he realizes the error of his ways and he patches things up and lives happily ever after. If only. I sometimes indulge in the fantasy that I get in my time machine and go back to Las Vegas in the early 70s when he was just in the depressed, drugged out fat Elvis era, and I sit him down, explain to him a few things, give him a couple of meditation lessons, and we straighten all that out. But no. So yeah, the film is charming. The best 3 minutes of it, which you can see on YouTube, actually we'll post in the description the link to the 3-minute highlight of this film, which is the performance of Jailhouse Rock. Which in the context of the film, he's now out of jail, but he's known as, the singing jailbird, and they're doing this for NBC. So you see the NBC cameras at the beginning and the end. And it's very interesting. They brought in a choreographer, Alex Romero, who was a veteran of Hollywood musicals and really wanted to do big MGM type choreographed musical numbers. Elvis, of course, wanted to be Elvis. He wanted to be doing his stuff, which, by the way, a lot of his stuff, we have to acknowledge this. We're talking about, keeping your roots, your musical roots, or turning your back on them. And his musical roots were in country music, rockabilly, but also in black music. He grew up hanging out in front of the black churches, hearing that, going to the black nightclubs. He bought his sharp clothes in stores that catered to black customers. Elvis wanted to, keep on being what made Elvis fantastic, that fantastic singing, dancing. And so they worked out a kind of a compromise. And you see in the musical number, he's basically doing Elvis gyrations, and you've got the chorus, the 17 male dancers in, mock prison stripes, who are doing like a Hollywood choreographed number where they're basically mimicking him. So in a way, they're like the first Elvis impersonators. And it's weird. It's like he's in this hall of mirrors. It's like the moment where here's authentic Elvis starting to go through some weird process of, I don't know, mitosis, meiosis, whatever it would be, reduplicating into all these kind of parodies of himself. The song is fantastic, right? The song Jailhouse Rock is by Lieber and Stoller, who we've got to say, not only the great genius songwriting team of rhythm and blues and rock and roll, but one of the great genius songwriting teams of, I don't care, any genre, all time. These guys were brilliant. Virtually every song musically, it's got a hook that is irresistible and unmistakable. The lyrics are so clever and sharp and literate. Just great stuff. So the warden threw a party in the county jail. All right. Well, where's the dharma here? Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be talking about dharma, right? the Enlightenment Lessons. So where's the Enlightenment Lessons? Where's the Dharma aspect of being in prison, being locked up? How are we in prison? Well, we're in prison, all of us, in the sense that we are caught up in samsara, right? Samsara literally means going round and round in circles, stuck in the cyclic existence of seeking fulfillment from things, from substances, from experiences, from finite things, because we think we are a finite thing. We think we're a finite object. And because we have an instinct of something deeper, of something infinite, something boundless, which is nirvana, sort of the opposite of samsara, we keep looking for it in all these other objects. We feel like I'm a limited object. I need to maybe one of these other limited objects, this car, this job, this sexual experience. Not that there's anything wrong with that, except that none of it solves the basic human problem of unfulfillment. We have this, we're blessed and cursed with this restlessness this hunger that won't be fulfilled by anything less than nirvana. So that's the jail we're in. We're stuck in the jail of the illusion of boundedness. We're stuck in the jail of samsara, craving the freedom outside the prison walls, which is nirvana. So the warden threw a party in the county jail. Well, that would be nice. Whoever the warden of this outfit is, whether it's God, whether it's Mother Nature, whoever's in charge here, a real act of grace would be that, okay, while we're stuck here in samsara, while we're stuck in the jailhouse,
let's have a party.
Let's have a party. Let's rock. Everybody, let's rock. Everybody in the whole cell block, we will be dancing to the Jailhouse Rock, right? It's a universal call to enjoy. Okay, okay, let's make the best of this situation. So it starts off on this, spiritually on this very beautiful note. Okay, if we're locked up, it's okay. Our warden is a merciful warden, right? So the warden threw a party in the county jail. The prison band was there. They began to wail. The band was jumping and the joint began to swing. You should have heard those knocked out jailbirds sing. Now those punchlines, that is Jerry Lieber, with the hipster lingo, but just turned into poetry. You should have heard those knocked out jailbirds sing. Come on, that is completely irresistible. Okay, what happens in the next stanza? We get diversity. Okay, I got your diversity right here. Spider Murphy played the tenor saxophone. Okay, so we got your animal species. Little Joe was blowing on the slide trombone. So we got the big, we got the little. The drummer boy from Illinois went crash, boom, bang. So we got places, we got sizes, we got species. Again, it's everything. It's the universality of this Jailhouse Rock, which is us being in samsara all together, trying to make have a reasonably good time of it. The whole rhythm section was the Purple Gang. All right. Now, the Purple Gang historically, as Chris, I'm sure you know, was a notorious gang, Jewish mafia gang. So that was a real thing. But in terms of the mystical teachings, spiritual teachings, what is purple? Purple is the highest vibrational frequency of the colors. In the old days, no one was allowed to wear purple except the royalty, because that was understood as the highest vibration. So okay, everyone's going to interact. We're all going to be in a band together, all the species, all the sizes, all the places, but we got to do it at the highest level. We got to do it at the highest level of vibration for it to work, for it to really rock, for it to be okay, to be harmonious. Okay, now we get to the great third stanza. Number 47 said to number 3, "You're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I sure would be delighted with your company. Come on and do the Jailhouse Rock with me." Now, it wasn't till long after puberty that I went back and, reconsidered this song and went, wait a minute. There ain't
They're
no
all guys.
That's right. these are not co-ed prisons, right? So this is very possibly the first reference to gay romance, if we can use the word romance, in pop songs, in American pop songs.
Tongue in cheek.
Pretty well, and it's interesting the way it plays out in the dance number, which is because they're all really, good looking, svelte guys. They're Hollywood dancers, except the two guys who mime this verse. And they've got two old, ugly, funny looking comedian guys so that we can laugh the thing off. Right. And they're doing a little kissy thing, which would be weird, or wouldn't be weird to us now, but it would have been too weird for people in 1957. So they it's brought in that way through comedy. It made okay. But what's the Dharma take on that? What's the Dharma take on, as I said, romance, if we can use the word, because a whole lot of the, presumably, so I've been told, the same-sex activities that take place in prison are, an arrangement of convenience, if not necessarily preference. Okay, so, right, you're locked up there. You'd rather be with your girlfriend, your wife, but okay, little Joey doesn't look too bad at the moment. How does that parallel our situation? Who is our lover of choice? Who's the one we really want to be merging with? Well, we want to be merging with the infinite. We want to be merging with God, with Brahman, with Nirvana. At the moment, that's maybe not on the menu because we're locked up. So what do we settle for? We merge with each other. We merge with each other and on a good day, make that as close to merging with the infinite as possible. All right. The sad sack was sitting on a block of stone way over in the corner, weeping all alone. The warden said, "Hey, buddy, don't you be no square. If you can't find a partner, use a wooden chair." All right. Now, spiritual seeker, people who wind up on the spiritual path, some of them are people who, they were the life of the party. They were popular. Everything was fine. Everything in their life went well. Not usually, because very often, if everything's going fine, you don't bother. If everything's going fine, you may not be motivated to look. If everything's going fine for you here in prison, you may not be too motivated to look around. So a whole lot of the people who wind up being real seekers, there's some there's a line about Jesus being a man of constant sorrow, and we read about the Buddha who had everything as a young princeling, but then was struck by the vision of universal suffering and feeling he had to do something about it. So there's this sad sack quality, right? And the sadness is really that, we're alone. We're cut off from the infinite, cut off from God, from Nirvana. But now the warden drops by and says, "Hey, it's okay. Don't you be no square. If you can't find a partner, use a wooden chair." Right? What's your best friend? You're still in the waiting room, waiting for Nirvana. What's your best friend? A comfortable chair, right? As our old teacher Maharishi used to say, all we need is a comfortable chair, something to sit down and meditate in. Oh, that's how you do it. Just sit down, close your eyes. Everything's going to be okay, little sad sack. All right. Last verse. Shifty Henry said to Bugs, for heaven's sake, no one's looking. Now's our chance to make a break. Bugsy turned to Shifty and he said, great Jerry Lieber line, nix, nix. I want to stick around a while and get my kicks. Right? Now, I got two ways that I see this one. One is this is the danger, the temptations of samsara, right? We see a chance to escape, right? We see a chance to, here's our chance to make a break, but, oh, wait a minute. Things are too, this party's getting good. This is too enticing. I was supposed to go on that meditation retreat. Oh, but I just met this hot girl, or we just get distracted. But there's so many things here in the finite that can distract us from the infinite. So that's one interpretation. Nix. I'm going to stick around. I want to stick around a while and get my kicks. The other, which I think is maybe the deeper interpretation, is what in Mahayana Buddhism, the later, more kind of humanistic forms of Buddhism, what they call the idea of bodhicitta. You take the vow of the bodhisattva, is that rather than being focused just on your individual liberation, you vow. And in my days as a practicing Buddhist, I used to take this renew my bodhisattva vow every morning, which is vowing to, as long as the world remains, as long as suffering remains, as long as sentient beings remain, I shall remain to lead them all to liberation. So the idea is, you do everything you can, do your meditation. It's like you've broken out of your cell, you run all the way to the edge of the yard, the prison wall, and then you stop there. You stand at the wall, give everyone else a boost. You take that vow to be the last one out. And so nix. I want to stick around a while and get my kicks. And that's the ultimate kicks. At that level, the ultimate, what else can you, once you've found that fulfillment, what else can anyone offer you? Really nothing, except the great privilege of helping others find that liberation. So I'm pretty sure that Lieber and Stoller intended none of this when they wrote the song, but that's completely beyond the point. Asking an artist what's in there, what's in that art that came through you. It's like asking the hen about the mineral content of the egg that she's just laid. And that is my story. I'm sticking to it.
And to echo a great Mahavakya, and that's that.
And that's that.
I was just thinking, it's beautiful, Dean. It's so great. Thank you for dwelling deeply into this. And it just shows you that, anything has any fruit has the juice inside if you just
Yes.
dig in to find it.
Yes.
And I was thinking too, just about Elvis himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an icon, and what it was about him that made him so unique. Kind of the unity of opposites, in a way. He represented such the full spectrum of life, in a way. He was a mama's boy. He was devout. He was unfailingly polite. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir. He was, a Southern boy, raised with traditional values, but he was also unabashedly sexual, demonstrative, expressive in a way no one had seen before.
Yeah.
And just something, and the unique look, and the kind of the bashful in a way. Yeah. There was a shyness about him.
The sweetness,
a sweetness and a shyness, but so overt and expressive in his demonstration of animal energy.
You couldn't none of that could be covered up. It couldn't be hidden. And there was so much, when he made this film, he had just had his teeth capped, his nose fixed, his hair dyed. You look at the very early photos of him, you know, in 56 when he first started to come on the scene. His hair is actually dirty blonde. But you know, at the time, the feeling was that the blonde leading men like Tab Hunter were not taken seriously. Dark-haired leading men like Montgomery Clift were taken more seriously. So he went with the dark hair. And actually, his hair went white very early.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was through most of the photos and films that you see of Elvis, his hair is white under that. So at this point, his teeth had just been capped, nose had been fixed, hair had just been dyed. They were actually rehearsing the Jailhouse Rock number, and one of the new caps on his teeth got knocked loose and lodged in his lung. And he had to be rushed to the hospital and turned out okay. But it was almost as if his body was rebelling against all that Hollywood alteration that was being done to it. Like the genuineness of that country boy was trying to maintain its integrity, assert its independence. The other thing is Elvis had a genuine spiritual side. I mean, aside from his Christian background, you know, not far from where I live here in Santa Monica, you've probably been there, Chris, the Self-Realization Fellowship, their beautiful lake shrine on
Palisades.
Yeah, right. Which was, you know, founded by Paramahansa Yogananda. And Elvis, when he was in LA, used to go there all the time.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and he used to hang out with the what did they call her? You know, she was some Ma or Devi. She was the female successor to Yogananda, and he would hang out with her and talk with her and just try to understand deeply what is life about and how did I wind up in this strange life I'm living, and you know, what am I to make of all this?
Yeah, he seemed like he seemed through his life too, you know, under the command of Colonel Tom Parker, his manager and mentor, and through all the Hollywood years, a little bit of a prisoner to his fame, a bit of a prisoner to expectations, to all that was expected of him.
Which, by the way, you know, there's a film in production about that with Tom Hanks as Colonel Parker.
That's right.
We'll be talking about that down the road.
He was quite a character. He, you know, in the old carnivals, he'd put a hot plate under the straw in the chicken coop so that it charge the marks 10 cents a person to watch the dancing chickens.
Yeah. And even when Elvis was doing his concerts, Colonel Parker was not above going out on the sidewalk to hand sell the autograph photos.
Well, Dean, this was delightful. And join us next time for our next episode of the Filmosophers. We'll see you next time.
Bye.